Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Kai Jackson. Mayor Brandon Scott signed next year's budget into law today. That plan outlines the mayor's priorities for the next budget year. But there are concerns whether the city has money to back some of the long-term plans. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost joins us live with a closer look at the budget and those concerns. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Guy, this $4.2 billion budget was approved by the City Council with little fanfare. No amendments were made to the proposal outlined by Mayor Brandon Scott himself. And one of the big concerns that we're hearing is the city's plans to fund some of these programs that are currently backed by the one-time federal COVID-era money. And that money will eventually run out. How Baltimore will spend its newly signed $4.2 billion budget can be answered by taking a deep dive into the details. To cover the city's budget hole, worth almost $62 million, the city relying on cutting vacant positions across agencies, shifting sworn police department positions to civilians, allowing the state to pick up the tab instead. And Mayor Scott calling for the parking authority to step up enforcement, banking on $3.2 million expected to come in from parking penalties. And the city's coffers expecting to get $2.6 million from license plate readers. The city planning to funnel more money into the classroom, and more money will be spent on expanding the Group Violence Reduction Strategy, or GVRS.
The program has shown great promise.
GVRS is part of the mayor's 5-year crime plan and aims to break up organized crime by offering participants an off-ramp to their life of crime. Some funding to grow GVRS and other programs within City Hall come from Washington. The American Rescue Plan, Congress's COVID-era funding plan, sent $641 million to Baltimore City alone. It's also one-time funding. Despite calls from members on the City Council, including City Council President Nick Mosby, to utilize that funding to make generational investments in a few areas, Mayor Scott and his administration sprinkled funding around to several nonprofits and other programs, leaving some to question, what's the long-term plan?
The big problem with ARPA funding is not today. It's tomorrow and future years.
David Williams, president of the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, argues the lack of a clear plan for some of these programs could be setting the city up for a financial cliff.
What the city is doing is obligating itself to spend more money in the coming years, and that could be a really big problem for the finances of Baltimore City. And when you're spending money today that you're not going to have in 5 or 10 years, you're putting the city at financial risk.
During budget hearings for the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, or MONSE, that issue was brought up. MONSE oversees GVRS and Safe Streets, which is the city's flagship community violence intervention program that has faced transparency and effectiveness questions for years.
When we hit that ARPA cliff, which is not too long from now, what is the strategy to scale, to continue to scale and eventually go citywide when we will have less external resources from the federal government coming into Baltimore?
We've already started identifying potential grant opportunities, other federal earmark opportunities to support GVRS longer term, and we're going to continue to be aggressive and proactive in that front.
MONSE Director Stephanie Mavronis echoing the same talking points when we asked her about the agency's plan to fund programs after the federal help runs dry. The lack of a clear direction raising concerns for Williams.
The increases to these city programs paid for by federal relief funds will just get absorbed into the city's budget. And that means you have a city budget that is getting larger and larger every year because of obligations made today when they have the money.
Unlike last year's contentious budget battle, City Council passed the mayor's budget proposal without any amendments. Now, to support the GVRS expansion, we also saw City State's Attorney Ivan Bass ask the City Council for $1 million on top of his original budget to help hire for more prosecutors, but that request was not granted. We're live in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
I'm Kai Jackson. Thank you for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel.